Hello, lovely humans. Oh my goodness, I have been off the grid for such a very long time. If you are watching this video as of March 2019, this is my first public video since probably 2 years. That's insane to me. I've posted a lot of other videos onto YouTube, but they've all been private and unlisted for, special, things that I've been doing in projects. But publicly, I think it's been 2 years since I posted my last video, which is just insane to me. And then on Instagram, I think my last video it's been months. So I've been completely off the grid. And in this video, I want to share with you not only how being off the grid is one of my go-to sort of ways of getting past dark times, but I also want to share with you some of my favorite tools and resources that I use in my personal life in order to get past those really deep, dark moments in life that we all have. So for a little bit of context before we jump into those tools, feel free and fast forward and get straight to the tools. I wanted to share a little bit about what has been my last year. So I am a mommy of a 2.5-year-old son, and his name is Kai. And it's so incredibly sweet. I'm going to pop in a picture of the very last Instagram post that I had months ago, which was me lying in bed, no makeup, very little self-care at that time. So I wasn't feeling very good. And my son was sort of caressing my head and just showing such profound empathy, especially for someone of his age. It's one of my favorite photos, although it's still hard to look back at that time and look back at that photo of my son caring for me. But it is so incredibly sweet. That was the last video the last picture that I posted on Instagram. And that was because my father, who is technically my stepfather, but for all intensive purposes, he's my father. And he was going through cancer treatment, and previous to the cancer treatment, he had a stroke. So when he had a stroke, life just completely changed. I had just gotten my real estate license. I was diving into this new career. Of course, since I'm very much Renaissance woman, I wasn't giving up any of my other career paths. I was just adding one more level to my income stream by bringing on a real estate license. So I had this new license and this new career path and very much all of my plans, because I'm very much a planner. And one of the pieces of that plan was for my mother to help care for my son's childcare needs, while I sort of tiptoed into this venture that, unlike all of my other ventures, was going to have me outside of the house on other people's schedules, right? Whereas since years past, I've been very much on my own schedule and very much in my home office. So fast forward, when my father has a stroke and his health starts to dwindle, everything switched. Obviously, my mother had to pivot and care for her husband, my father, and herself. And I had to quickly figure out how to work a new career plus raising my son and being a good wife and being a good daughter and being a good friend, and just all of those massive world responsibilities that we women especially take on our shoulders. So in that moment is when I started to really have to dive deep into caring for myself, because self-care was sort of out the window. It's one of my go-tos to start to overwork. It's how I like to cope with things. That and laughter is how I cope. So I started to dive deeper into my work, which means self-care started to dwindle. And as the year went on, this last year, where my father lost his battle to his cancer, and again, life was flipped upside down. It went from the very hard, achy, raw feeling and emotions that go into caring for someone that has cancer, and seeing what it not only did to my father, but what it was doing to my mother and her spirits and just all of those massive things. And I promised myself that doing this video, I was going to try to rein it in when sharing. But I just think it's so important because I want to connect with all of you that are watching this video on how to use these tools, as to when to use these tools, and why it's so important that we connect, so that I'm very honest about why I started to use these tools, so that you too can see that when it gets incredibly dark is when you truly have to dive your deepest to find whatever light there is in your life. And there's always light in your life. So we'll fast forward again. My father has passed away, lost his battle. And this last year has been very hectic in diving into a new career. And then the first attempt at the career not working out very well, and having to pivot yet again with my new license, and caring for my now grieving mother and making sure that she's okay. And then continuing to do all of the norm, which is be a wife and be a mother and be all of these things. And then just be, right? Just be able to be okay in my own skin. So simply just be. In order to do that, I pulled out every self-care tip and trick and ritual that I've ever used, that I've ever seen anyone else use. And in this video, I'm going to share with you what some of my favorites are. So thank you for sticking with me this long, and let's jump into all of those tools. We're first going to start with one of my favorite and yet very basic ones, which is a ritual and habit that I have of gratitude. I do like to share gratitude with others on a daily basis, whether that's acknowledging verbally to my son how grateful I am. Thank you, Kai. I'm so grateful that I got to spend time with you today. Thank you, Kai, for sharing a meal with me. Thank you, Kai, for holding my hand. I'm so grateful to be with you. Sharing gratitude to him is one of my favorite things to do. Sharing gratitude with my husband and how grateful I am that he works so very hard for Kai and I to live very comfortably, and just gratitude anywhere I can. In addition to the verbal gratitude, I like to keep a gratitude journal. And one of my favorite ways of keeping a gratitude journal are in these itsy bitsy, how cute is this, teeny tiny little flashcard packs. I actually got this at Disney World years ago, and this one is unopened. There's like a little plastic guy here. My one that's currently in use is like this little hedgehog, and it's downstairs in my purse, so I'm not going to grab that one. However, I wanted to show you this little guy who I haven't used yet. And it is a Japanese company called Midori, and forgive me if I'm butchering that pronunciation. But these little guys are my favorite way to just take a pen, and I keep these like on my desk, and journal something that you're grateful for. So I'm grateful for the decadent warm tea I had this morning, right? So these are the things that I would write in my journal. Little, big, doesn't matter. Gratitude. It puts me in a state of focusing on my well-being and focusing on the things that make me happy, as opposed to focusing on the things that are bringing me down. So this is one of my favorite ways, and that's gratitude. The second thing I do is I'm very much in tune with the environment around me, which means it's really important that the environment that I am in is conducive to my well-being. So what I like to do is I like to evoke all of my senses, and that includes lighting candles and being surrounded by art, both mine and others. I also enjoy the smells in the room, and then I have quite a bit of rituals for when I get on the computer, rituals for when I paint, lots of rituals. And one of the rituals I like to do is I like to cleanse with smoke. So my two favorites, and the ultimate favorite actually, I do have sage, and I do enjoy sage, but I prefer the scent of Palo Santo, which is this wood here. Oh my goodness. So the reason why I love this so much is because it actually reminds me of some of my childhood favorite memories of being by the fire outside um, with family. And so it just reminds me of family and fun and the smell of burning wood on a fire. That is what this smells like when you light it. It is incredible. It lifts my spirits, it lifts my mood. I do use this to sort of cleanse myself, my space. My son really enjoys it. I actually cleanse him with Palo Santo. And so he calls it fire, or he calls it hot. And he's like, more hot, because he actually enjoys the ritual of being cleansed with the smoke. So that's another favorite. I do have other items like, oh, so pretty. Like these little bells, because sound can also cleanse space. So if I'm deep into like a heavy project and feelings start to arise, I'll hear songs that remind me of my father, or a smell will remind me of my father, and the tears will start to well up. And one of the things that I would recommend as a tool is to allow the tears just to flow and just breathe through it and not try to hold back. And as those tears flow and I just let it pass, I need to sort of get recentered in order to get back to my day. And one of the ways that I might do that is by using the sounds of this particular, I don't want to do it too loud, it's going to be crazy. Yes. So just hearing that from these bells will actually just sort of realign my mind to the task at hand. So sage, Palo Santo, the bells, candles, these are all just little ways of creating a space that is just conducive to me being happy. And when you're really feeling low, I highly recommend just doing little teeny tiny things in your space, putting a little bit of lemon in your water just to show yourself that you care. Lighting a candle takes 2 seconds just to show yourself that you care about yourself. Just teeny tiny little things to remind you that you yourself care for yourself, and that will help to lift your mood. I also surround myself with beautiful items. One of my favorite items at the moment is my shell, and this was a gift, which is a beautiful moonstone, and I like to keep these two together because it just reminds me of like a mermaid. I just love this thing. So just surrounding yourself with beautiful things. It could be like a rock from outside that just made you smile, and putting it on your desk. It makes a world of difference. So let's jump now onto the computer, because I want to show you some actual tools, like some services and products that I used in order to sort of see me through some of the darker moments. So I'm going to jump now onto my computer. You'll still be able to see me, but I'm going to share my screen with you. Alrighty. So remember that picture I was telling you about where it was my son holding my head? Oh, my son is kind, intuitive, wise, and eternal. He knows when mommy needs a hug, and the simple gesture keeps me going. Caring for my own parent as he fights his survival from liver cancer is daunting at times. Baby Kai shows me true compassion and strength as he sees the adults around him attempt to hold it together. I am strong. I am love. We are family. That was, I don't even know when that post was, but it's been months. So must have been at least June sometime. And we're now, it was last year. Anyway. Okay. So again, whatever works for you, right? What worked for me was pulling back from social media, not because I believe social media is inherently evil or anything as drastic or dramatic as that thought process, but truly because I use social media as both a business marketing tool as well as a creative outlet for myself. And what I noticed is that I wasn't getting that creative outlet joy that I used to get from social media. And again, it's just because in life we sort of ebb and flow out of dark and light. And at the moment in that dark time, I wasn't feeling very creatively satisfied by social media. In fact, I wasn't feeling creatively stimulated by painting. I hadn't painted in a very long time, and I've only recently begun painting again. So what worked in certain times of my life to bring me joy was no longer the case. So I sort of had to relearn what was making me feel good. And I knew that pulling off of social media was going to be something that worked for me. I also started to pare down on my responsibilities. I had a lot of responsibilities to friends at the time, and for my own survival and my own path to getting out of survival to thriving, I had to pull back. So it's not that I don't love and adore my friends, and I didn't love and adore the projects I was working on. It was truly a way for me to be able to get back to being healthy, both mentally and spiritually and physically. So I had to pull back on those responsibilities, and that included pulling back from social media. So what I did instead of social media, because I still enjoy very much media, is I started to watch YouTube channels that really brought me a lot of joy and a lot of education that helped in my self-care. So here are two channels that I would highly recommend if you are interested in sort of up-leveling your mind and up-leveling your mindset in general. So one of my favorites is Mind Valley Talks. There's also a Mind Valley channel. And both of them are fantastic. They're both obviously by the same Mind Valley company. And what this company does and what the owner of this company has created is this amazing tribe of humans where they share from all walks of life, all schools of thought, of teachers, masters in their fields of both mindsets and health and spirituality and just all of those glorious life things into this channel. And of course, he has a school where you can purchase classes online. There's actually a physical location as well. But the YouTube channel is free content. So it's a quick go-to for me when I just need to be reminded of how amazing humans are, right? And how amazing I am in regards to being able to heal myself both physically and mentally. So Mind Valley is amazing. Highly recommend it. Journaling as a tool to become a millionaire is probably one of my favorite videos on this channel, and it's a newer one. So I highly recommend checking that one out. The dude on there that they interview, so funny. Okay, so that's that channel. The second channel that I love dearly is, it's actually Tom's channel, but I call it Impact Theory. So Impact Theory is another one of my favorites. And like Mind Valley Talks, he has guest speakers come on and they talk about amazing things that humans accomplish and how to accomplish these amazing feats of humanity for yourself. And it's one of my favorite videos or video channels to watch when, again, I just need a good pick-me-up, because I could, but I chose not to give up all media because I knew that the challenge was going to be too daunting for me to just give up all of my vices. And one of my vices is media. And so what I did instead is I changed what media I was watching so that I was getting the entertainment value of still being able to sort of unplug from the world and sort of like disconnect from what's happening in my day by like diving into media. But instead of what used to be my favorite, which is reality TV, and don't get me wrong, I still love reality TV, what I did is I started filling that space of wanting media with really good media that actually taught me amazing things and actually uplifted me. So that's a tip for you, is that if you, like me, enjoy sort of like escaping into media, like watching other people and that escapism that happens when you're watching other people, if you like that like I do, I would recommend switching where you escape to, and instead of escaping to like nonsense, or really, instead of escaping to like the news or other like really depressing things, I would say escape to a world like Impact Theory and Mind Valley Talks, where while you're on a mental vacation, you're actually learning. So that's just two of my favorite YouTube channels. The other thing that I like to do when I'm feeling really dark is I like to meditate. However, there's a caveat to that. I do not do well meditating silently, right? It is not a skill that I have yet developed where I could just sit quietly for hours. It's not something I've been able to do yet. So what I am able to do and what I thoroughly enjoy and find great benefits is I like guided meditations. So on my phone, I have quite a bit of apps, but my absolute favorite for guided meditation is called Meditation Studio. Love. I love listening to the meditations to help me put me to sleep, because I do have issues with anxiety that start to manifest me not sleeping well. And when that happens, a guided meditation is like a go-to for me to get me to sort of relax. So these guided meditations on this particular app are so well produced. They're so glorious. I have my favorite teachers on there, but they have so many teachers. And the app allows you to listen to the guided meditation without music or sound effects, right? Because there's like birds chirping, water streaming, that sort of thing, water flowing. And you can choose whether you want that background noise or not. I tend to like it with the background noise. It just helps me zone in. But whatever you prefer, you'll still love this app, whether it's with the music or not with the music. Love, 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 love. And I downloaded this or got this app for free, and then I upgraded my app because I just loved it so much. Since there's some in-app purchases, and I think I paid for the year, and it was well worth the money. Love, love, love. So to recap, guided meditations, media that uplifts your spirits or teaches you something, preparing your space so that it brings you joy, taking those artful moments to cultivate a space around you that even in your darkest days will make you smile. Just sort of listening in and really taking time to hear what you need. And when focusing so much on yourself hurts too bad, switching your focus and thinking of others, which is where the gratitude journal comes in for me. It's where it starts to shift my perspective on what I'm grateful for. And what ends up happening is what I'm grateful for is usually about other people. And then I start to focus in on those other people, and it gets me out of my own self and gets me thinking outwardly about the people I love. So these are just a few of my favorite tools and resources. I really hope that you have pulled something from this video that will help you in moments where you're feeling sad or when you're feeling dark. So thank you so much for watching this video. It's been a long time coming that I have made a public YouTube video, and I'm happy to say that I am now back on the grid and starting to tip my toes a little bit into social media and reconnecting. And I've given myself my own little personal challenge to post a video every Wednesday on this channel. So if you enjoyed this video or would like to see videos on business, artful living, creativity, and a little bit of kai, then subscribe to my channel, turn on the notifications so that you don't miss any of my content, and I will see you in the next video. Cheers.